What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the last 10%, last 10 of another one of our cars. Last video we just wrapped up this convertible. Yeah, I know it's still got the tarp on it. Got the top in the back. That's going to Eric's when he puts this together and finishes it out. For today we're actually going to move on to our drift chassis, and that would be this multicolored unit right here. There is a handful of things that we're having issues with on this car, so I think today we're going to try to tackle that and maybe sort something out. This car runs and drives phenomenal, other than the fact it won't idle. So that's one of the biggest kickers for this car. And we're going to be redoing some of our wiring harness today. We're going to be doing some repairs, like on some less than favorable connectors as such. We got some idle air hoses we're going to mess with. These are just a couple little things, so if we could eliminate to get this thing where it drives good, stops good, I'll be happy, because I'm ready to move on to the next step of this, and I can't really justify spending or putting on $1,000 in parts when the car doesn't run right and I can't drive it how I want. If I'm supposed to beat the tar out of this car on limiter, there's no sense in it not being able to idle, and I have to sit there and feather the thing the whole time. It's not optimal. Before we get started today, there is one honorable mention that I am so happy about. I know you guys don't care what I work on, but this is my first car, my 84 Regal. We just started on tearing this all apart so we can get it back together, because we're working on a VG swap for it. I intend to have the motor in this year at some point, but we were having an issue with a little critter back here in my car. I am here to tell you guys that that critter is no longer, and he has been evicted and he's moved on. Thankfully, we can clean that for the final time. We don't have to worry about a critter undoing all of our work. Now let's go look for some wiring harnesses that have some good connectors, and let's see if we can find a donor harness. Don't judge me, we're just running butt connectors for now, and as long as this fixes the problem, honestly this is all band-aid anyways. I don't have a way to solder this while it's in the car. I'm not running an extension cord on a windy day with my crappy little soldering iron. It's just not going to be optimal. So we've got a couple harnesses down here that we're going to pick from. There's a pretty good idle one. As long as it's got half a clip and it's super clean, I'm happy with it. So before we get into this, we actually have something else that we need to do. We need to move this somewhere, I don't know, wherever, and then we actually need to bring the car down here, because I'm not going to sit here and walk back and forth and waste my time all day. Hope I'm not running stuff over. On to the next one. Wee, is it a hot one today? I know this thing's about to be a whole greenhouse. Ouch, ouch, these seats are fire. It still doesn't want to idle. Looks like we're still on with our job today. Well, that was a crap show. Thing will not idle worth a crap, so let's fix this. Now, before we get started, let's examine each of our connectors. Let's disconnect them all. Yeah, that's not too favorable. I don't even know if this one's got a connector. Nope. Well, it does, but was it just not on? Oh, there goes the connector. Clip, not connector. And our last one is that blue one right there. I do need to kind of move some of this out the way to get some clearance. I've got it a little bit cleaned up just to look a little bit better. Them pins look pretty corroded. We may just have to fix it. So we got that blue idle air connector off, and it's green on the back side as well. Definitely warrants a replacement. Now let's kind of lay our harnesses out. I think we got two here. Well, it looks like I've replaced this one, so we may be taking this one off for sure. Had to have been good enough for me to throw on. The rest of them on this harness don't look the best. It looks like I can utilize one of these brand new injector clips, so I think we'll just do that, well, to be honest. So the yellow one has a left offset, the blue has a right offset. We can at least use this for a blue, so that leaves us to find two left offsets. If you don't get what I mean by offset, I'm referring to this little piece right here. That's where the locking tab is, or at least the keyway, I guess you can say. Ooh, that's a perfect one. Dang, that's perfect too. Darn, it looks like I already cut the coolant temp off. Actually, no, this is a 96 harness. This coolant temp is actually different. Let's go find us a yellow connector, or at least one we can use. Let's swap out some stuff. We just trimmed both of our connectors up for some butt connectors, folded them over just to make them a little bit sturdier and thicker gauge. Now let's slowly cut back on this wire until we get some clean wire, so that way we don't just completely ride it off and cut too much wire off and make it impossible to wire up. A whole lot of room to work with here. A little bit of corrosion, but we'll be replacing this harness in the near future anyways. Let's just send it. Got no time to waste today. So I'm actually putting the butt connector on the connector side first, so that when we crimp it, it'll be like a final deal kind of thing. I don't think the polarity necessarily matters, but we are going to connect it the same way we took it off. We're also going to run this white plug instead of the yellow plug. Since this is offset, the tab, we can just jam it on there and not even have to use a connector. Temporary solutions, obviously. Nothing special about crimping butt connectors. Let's just throw these things on and see what the result's going to be. Here goes the first test with a burning hot seat. Hey, I didn't even touch the gas pedal. It did it all on its own. Safe to say I was pretty comfortable with our diagnosis or assumption of what was wrong. I knew for a while that they were kind of a problem, and we're gonna kill this before we idle it a bunch. We're not gonna idle it until we drive it. And especially since we have to get down there by our test pipes, so we have to sort that out. We got to clearance that and try to just keep eliminating things. Maybe I should take a second and make a list for everything that we need to do. I'm definitely no electrician by trade, trust me. And some of you have let me know that in the comments. But if it works, it works. I'm the kind of guy that's going to buy a new harness 9 times out of 10, but since we're a little tight right now, we're just going to make it work since we can. New harnesses solve so many problems. Well, that's exciting. Maybe we can drive it today. I think next we're going to start by putting it in the air. This tire is totally clapped. We definitely need a new one on here. Let's find a spare. Nice new tires installed, fresh and plenty of meat. So now we're under the car and we're actually testing to find out where this rattle's coming from. Let's just say I think I knew. There's not a whole lot that I can do right now. However, in the future, I will notch this or see what it's like when we put an actual cap back on it, because it does have a stock cap back currently. I feel like if it shifted this way a little bit, it would be just fine. But yeah, I think we're gonna wedge something in between here to kind of space it out a little bit. Maybe we'll grab another exhaust hanger rubber like this and jam it in there. No, that's not gonna melt. Let's go find one. I'm pretty sure we've got one. So we just went and grabbed like an old fuel hose and cut off part of a exhaust hanger. So hopefully this should work. We're just gonna jam them both in there and see which one's more heat tolerant. Yeah, starting to look like I'm gonna need a pry bar. Man, it's hard to get leverage down here. Well, I think that may have solved our problem. Now we've got some clearance. Not much, but it's honest work. Well, I'm happy. Well, we didn't use the fuel hose. No big deal. Now, while we're up here, I do know there's one thing we can do in the cabin. And it's this right here. So what this is going to fix is actually our clutch safety switch. So there's actually usually a green rubber grommet up in here, right here, where you can see through. What happens is when you push your clutch down, that comes in contact with your switch and allows you to start the car. If your pedal stoppers are busted, instead of paying 10 bucks for like new ones, just grab a bolt and a nut and put it through there and be a permanent solution. You'll put the head towards the plunger, so you'll have it sticking through like this. And then you can just thread your nut on. This is obviously a two-hand job. About like that. It's definitely a lot easier to do it in this car versus the typical car, since this thing's just completely gutted. Shift knob, that's another easy thing. Let's see if we can go find us a nice shift knob for this. Maybe I'll put like a stock style on it just for comfortability reasons. I don't want it to be burning hot like the one we just took off and threw on our convertible. What do you know? Looks like we have one right there. Oh no, I just remembered I have a Tome inside of my glove box on my daily. Should have used that. So it's time for the turn signals. There is one thing here that I have not thought about or even looked at until just a second ago. Well, we've tested, we cleaned out all of our turn signal sockets. We got them all clean of corrosion and lubed up with some dielectric grease. And I got to thinking, I was like, all right, so let's just start checking down the steps again of trying to eliminate and rule out some issues. Hazard works. I did a little bit of research in the factory service manual. I discovered your turn signal runs off a fuse separate from your hazards. I never had this issue in this car, but I have taken things from this car that I may not know. And I'm thinking this fuse is going to be it. So it should be the third or fourth from the right. So let's throw this 10 fuse in, and let's see if that fixes our problem. See our turn signals. Now let's try. Still nothing. What the heck? I guess we did just change our stock. Let's go back to the original stock that was in it and see if that helps any better. So it's actually the next day, and unfortunately we had a mishap with a couple clips yesterday when it came down to this car. We just edited today's video that for the convertible it's going to drop here in about an hour. Every time I went to upload a clip, it would tell me upload failed. I had 9 clips having to do with this, especially with us getting our shifter on. Well, actually you guys seen us get our shifter on, but we fixed our turn signals. We just went ahead, put these brackets on them, we zip tied our turn signals up to it. Should be no issue there. Both sides are pretty sturdy. As far as the turn signals go, I'm going to start with kind of the process of diagnosing it, and then I'll show you guys how to clean up your front turn signals as they're really prone to failure. So when it comes to your turn signals, you have a couple different things in your system. You have your fuse, you have your switch, you have your hazard button up here that your signals actually run through. So if anything's wrong with this, your turn signals will not work. And you also have a relay up here under the dash. It's this black one right here. This is the actual flasher relay. That's what makes it actually flash. If that's bad, your lights will just turn on and you have to manually flick them and make them flash yourself. If your stock's bad, nothing will work, honestly. You'll do whatever and it'll all do the same. If you see this cracked right here and your screw bosses on your switch are bad, it allows it to have too much play, so your button may be partially pushed right up here against this pod. Hit the hole. That's why I don't have my button on. Since mine's messed up, I don't want to have that issue, and this is my way to remedy it. Because you can just put your finger in it and slide it forward. It's no big deal. But if that is partially depressed at all, that'll keep your turn signals from working because it thinks that it's about to be signaled over there and it's not making full contact on the switch. So for the final thing, we had hazards, but we didn't have a turn signal. And come to find out, the reason for that was actually the fuse down here in the kick panel, which I actually ended up putting this kick panel on last night. So we have a dead pedal. If you look on your fuse cover holder, your turn signals front center 10 amp right in the middle at the bottom. Now if you fix all of that, then obviously you're at the mercy of unplugging your signals and your taillight signals while switching your stock and checking for signal with a multimeter. That's the final step in the process to kind of check out your wiring and make sure it all checks out. But to fix your turn signals, we'll show you guys how to do that. So this is something I picked up for like $3 from Harbor Freight, and it has been one of my best friends with anything electrical or corrosion related. So this is a battery terminal or post cleaner. You can put your post through this, twist it, clean up your post, or you can put this in your terminal and clean it up. So a lot of times the problem with your turn signal sockets is they'll be like this. They'll be super corroded and nasty. And this is what this piece is good for, cleaning out that corrosion. You can see the 2 points on the bottom that powers the signal are corroded too, so those have to be clean. Not only that, but this little shell right here has to be clean too, because this is what the bulb actually grounds out on. So you can take this, clean up your bulb a little bit, or I just use like a wire brush, clean up this, or just replace your bulb. Probably the best effective way. So the issue comes right here with your turn signal socket. There is a spring back in here that when you push this down, it's supposed to spring back and push it up inside those keyways and lock it into this, grounding it out. There's actually little tabs that are like keyways on both sides in here that keep it centered in one spot so it can't twist, so it can only go up and down. The problem is when it corrodes like that, it starts to jam up that keyway and it no longer slides. So then your spacing is too far and it's not pushing the bulb all the way up and making contact with those bottom pins. So if you're having a turn signal issue and your bulbs aren't burnt, this is really likely the culprit for your no turn signal or turn signal issue. especially if you only have one that's finicky. About guaranteed this is it. So what I do is I like to fill this up with dielectric grease. I'll scrape off those 2 terminals on the bottom. You can see this one's all lubed up. I will also jam it in those keyway slots as I push it up and down with a screwdriver so I can work it in there, and that dielectric grease cleans up that corrosion. So that is how you can refresh your turn signal sockets if you're having issues with them and they're clicking fast or not working, vice versa. Now I think you guys are fully caught up and we can actually start with the fun part. Test driving and putting miles on our Z. So we topped up the coolant, we got the front brakes, not the front brakes, the front wheels changed, so we actually have tread. Everything should be ready to go. The worst part is the passenger window does not roll down, so it's gonna be a sauna. Let's actually find us some wipers, just for whatever reason they accidentally kick on. So it's the next day, if you can't tell. Had a big storm come in yesterday, and not only that, tried to get our pool set up. I did like 2 hours worth of weed eating. So today's the day. Let's power her up and fire her up. I don't know how much we're gonna try to drive it, but we're gonna try to do a decent little cruise. There we go. Now we'll just sit here, let it warm up. I honestly am gonna apologize ahead of time. I have to take the T-tops out. If I can't roll this window down, it's gonna turn into a literal sauna in here. We've got our insurance, we've got our title, our registration, jump pack, tool set. I think we're good to go. This thing is kind of smoky. Not sure why, to be honest. I don't know, strange. I guess we'll drive it for a little bit and see if it clears up. I'm thinking it's condensation from the E85. Wishful thinking. Really need to get some airflow going on. This clutch is going to take some getting used to, that's for sure. Car's been fine, now the ABS light kicks on. What the heck? Better, it's not rattling real bad, so that's a huge plus. I'm really just concerned about that smoke. Now we're fully up to temp, not a cloud, nothing. I'm gonna have to say we're solid. So what I think is going on is maybe we have bad valve stem seals. Maybe it smokes until they swell up enough from them getting warmed up, but add that to the list of cars that I need to do that for. I think I've got 3 that I need to do valve stem seals on. It's getting to that point, y'all. You guys probably do too. Now everything's running fine. I think we're gonna go out by my dad, see if he's there, just so we can get a little bit higher speed cruise. So far the car feels great, brakes great, feels great. I'm loving it. Well, she goes, but there's a lot of dust in here. Wow. I should put the HKS's on here. That was fun. Let's pull into old Chevy truck paradise. Oh yeah, you can't see that. He's got like a half truck chop sitting on his front yard. That was freaking fun. I can't wait to find a parking lot or something. I need to ask around and see if anyone knows of a private, preferably private, so I don't get in trouble. I don't got money for a ticket. Wow. I've never revved a VG to 8.5 grand before, but I guess my limiters are up. That was sick. We've got some stupid exhaust rattle whenever we get on it 5th gear. Sounds terrible. I guess I should have checked the location of the GoPro before that clip. Oopsie. Oopsie. Alright, so it's been a couple days. We ended up not driving much at the end of Friday. We came home and it just got way too hot. By the time we took our dogs out, it was like 90 something degrees. Since I can't roll that passenger window down, it makes it pretty brutal. So we took the time to catch up, do a little bit of something that we really needed to do quite a while ago, especially since we got some parts in. And well, since technically I cover it in next video, since I already recorded it, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. We got the dipstick switched over on our turbo build. Now we're just at the mercy of getting the chassis ready to drop it in. I don't think we're gonna be able to escape the heat this week. They say it's supposed to be in the 90s about all week where I'm at in Indiana, so cheers to that. Now, I think it's time to go fire up the steed, let it warm up. Let's go grab some E. We're gonna throw about 20 bucks in the tank just to drive it a little bit, and let's go cruise around and have some fun. I wonder if this thing's gonna wanna start today. There we go. Yeah, we definitely need to check into that coolant temp sensor circuit. I about guarantee you that that's part of the problem here. Well, today we got the T-top shade in, just in case. I'd really like to be able to see this fine, bright morning. So another thing I realized that we definitely need in here is we need to throw a door panel in, at least on the driver's side, so I have somewhere to put my elbow. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not going to need it if I'm on the track, but for any sort of daily driving or, you know, just casual driving, it's a definite must. I love this car. We're just going to cruise on over to grab some E85, and I need to get some airflow in here and get it cooled down before we do much of anything. 20 bucks for almost 7 gallons. It's like $3.10 here. Honestly, a year ago it would have been $2. I don't know why they started upcharging their E so much, but it doesn't make me that happy. But probably following suit with the stores down the road charging almost $4 a gallon for it. It's insane. I will say the suspension's been very tight. It's been good lately, so I'm pretty happy with the brand new rack we put in, tie rods, you know, alignment, everything. I really just can't wait to put some new wheels on this thing. That'll really dial it in. Dude's got a problem right in my butt. Gee whiz. See ya. Man, it's gonna be a hot week this week. We got a lot of stuff to do this week too. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I just looked down and found out our trip is actually working. Trip meter's up to 10 miles. I was beating the tar out of this thing the last time we drove it to try to get it to work. Hey, got us an overpass up here. Yeah, this thing sounds like crap with no exhaust on it. We got to put that Stillen cap back on it ASAP. Normal there, like I didn't mean to do that. All I remember is police like to sit back there and eat at that Burger King, so I'm gonna just steer clear for now. I'm not sure if Brad's home today. I know he's usually got Mondays off, but let's give him a little poll. PSI, I think, is the sweet spot. That's where we hit, and that's where I'd like to stay. I think we decided we're going to go look for some higher speed curvy roads, just something we can, you know, feel the handling on or the suspension. Because right now it's looking like a bust for all parking lots. So let's head over to one of our favorite roads, Wheeling Pike. Of course, a semi just pulls out in front of us. How many of you guys play Forza Motorsports or like Forza Horizon, the free roam games? When you get like that metal for hard charger, that's how this car makes me feel. This thing just like, it just pulls you right into the future, it feels like. Like with Star Wars, they hit hyperspeed, just hold on. And it's crazy, these are stock turbos. I cannot imagine what like real turbos are like. Efficient turbos, I should say. Made it to curvy country. This turn, because this is where you'll always lose people who don't know the area. It says to drive it at like 45, but man, you can whip this thing at like 50. Woo, the G's on that turn are awesome. I can only imagine how crazy four-wheel steer feels. Maybe we need to go home and work on our turbo. So much drag up here, it just unclipped our windshield wiper. Oh, it feels so good to just rip open boost on the road. Dude. Well, you guys seen it there first. We just hit a huge galvanized pole in the middle of the road. How do you lose that? I just want to make sure it wasn't nothing crazy. I don't think it hurt anything. I mean, who cares? It's a drift car, but... Someone pulling up behind us, see if we can get ahead of them. It dang near looks like a stop sign pole. We just creamed that thing. Oh, so did that truck. It's getting too hot. Let's just head home. I'm getting a little frustrated that I can't find a parking lot or somewhere to act dumb, so maybe we'll stop by my dad's one more time. Woo. Horrendous. It's cool when you're driving beside the interstate, on not the interstate, but the cars are going behind you. Never mind, it looks like my trip counter is actually not working. We're still at 11.5 miles. Yeah, it looks like Pops is home. Wheel hopping this thing is god awful. Holy cow. We definitely need solid subframe bushings. Mounts, whatever. I also just realized I never put my aluminum collars in this car. Now we're really gonna chill out. We need to quit. Crappy project car problems, but we're all here for it. Talk to you guys in a minute. Made it back all in one piece. And honestly, I can't be happier with how this car is running right now. It's running good enough that I feel comfortable moving forward with upgrading it, you know, with the dual calipers, subframe bushings, diff bushings, all that. I officially feel like we have a chassis that's worth it. So now I think it's time we shift our focus back to this car, or at least back to our NATT swap, and let's get things done. Now we're about to go edit this video, drop it for you guys today. Once we're all wrapped up with this, we're focusing our attention fully back over on our NATT build. Let's get this thing wrapped up and started. Not a whole lot to say. Car's doing good. I'm happy. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below. Stay tuned for more content, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.